All right, welcome back to Mind and Magic, and if you're new here, welcome. Frater John B. over at Patreon writes, "Wow, your temple is legit." Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. It has been a work in progress for many years, and many things have required magic to procure, such as my lion skin belt and other hard-to-acquire items. The temple is always evolving, and I'm always on the lookout for improvements. That said, my temple is legit because I am. As above, so below. As it is in heaven, so it will be on earth. And I say that not to boast, but with the sincere belief that any magician who wants to do ritual magic seriously should be investing in their ritual space. It's part of magic needing to pay for itself. That was a guideline that I had adopted from the start. Because magic can be expensive, ritual magic can be very expensive, and so the magic needs to pay for itself, and if it can't do that, then what am I doing? Right? I mean, if I'm going to continue doing it, it needs to pay for itself in perpetuity. And many of you have heard me say that more than once. However, part of the magic paying for itself is being able to invest in your practice by investing into your ritual space. If you have a temple room, this means building up the temple. Because a lot of people don't realize this, but doing so is a magic practice in of itself. The state of your temple or ritual space is a reflection of the state of you. That's first and foremost. As you enter into and begin the great work to transform yourself and build yourself up, so too should you be transforming and building up your temple or ritual space. Your growth and the growth of your temple should coincide and run parallel to each other. Everything in magic is symbolic, and the symbolism of your temple and its state is very important, paramount even. You want to keep everything as clean and orderly as possible and also build up the temple as you progress in the art. And yes, I know it sounds like it would be expensive and full of items that may be impossibly difficult to find, but most of what I gotten had just fallen into my lap. I mean, I just set my intention, and then I come across it, and then I strike while the iron's hot and get them while I can. Before moving into this house, we were in an apartment, and we really couldn't do much there. But when we moved in here, I started with my painted circle, which over the 15 or 16 years we've been here now has transformed into what you see. It takes time, but it's an ongoing process. I remember during the outer order grade work, the elemental grades, I forget which one called for the side altars. It's been so long, but right when I was looking for those, I came across this golden set of side altars, brand new on eBay. They were so exquisite, I couldn't pass them up. The amount of synchronicities that I had and that you will have when undertaking this task of building up your temple is quite astonishing. And you must seize upon those opportunities when they happen. Because here's something that the books and the initiation curriculum is not telling you. Your temple is just that. It's your temple. What they're telling you to do with your temple is merely recommended guidelines. So when the books tell you that you need a table with a yellow cloth on it to be your air altar in the east, and a table with a red cloth on it for your fire altar in the south, etc., those are good guidelines that you should pay attention to. But when I come across the listing for a set of golden side altars at exactly the right time that I'm needing them and have never seen them again comes up, well, I'm going to listen to the synchronicity. That's what I'm going to go with. You need to think of your temple as a living entity to house other living entities. The temple knows what it wants. It is by right an extension of you. And so if you see something that you really like that would make a good fit for your temple, you should pay attention to that. Now, that doesn't mean you just throw everything out and make up your own system and completely do your own thing. I mean, I'm all for experimentation, but there are reasons why things are done certain ways. But what I'm saying is that you could take those things and put your own spin on them, especially when it comes to your temple. because it's a reflection of you and how you do things and your progress. The progress of your temple space is only secondary to your own progress. And I doubt you're going to find that bit of information in anyone's book. I can't recall ever coming across it. This is just talking from experience here. They should be built up in parallel with each other. And it should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway, that the better your temple is, the better your magic will be. No one is going to invest the time, energy, and money converting an entire room of their home into a temple and fill it with expensive ritual items if they're not doing the work. And so a quote-unquote legit temple or ritual space is reflective of a legit practitioner. But perhaps this is the reason, at least partially, why I never see any other magicians or magical practitioners showing their ritual space. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, don't it? I mean, I see plenty of practitioners talk in front of their bookshelves in their armchairs. I've even seen at least one talk in a dojo. But what I never see is them talking in their actual ritual space. I, for one, would like to see where they practice. I want to see where the magic happens. And it's not just to size them up, their ritual space being reflective of the practitioner, although that could be why they don't show it, but because I genuinely have an interest in such things. This is my profession. I know that the temple and ritual space will be very unique to the person, and they may have some really good ideas. They may have some things in there that I've never thought of. Much like the ritual boards that I'm using currently. Maybe they got something going on that I'd never thought of. That's what I'm interested in. I'd like to see what they got going. Even if it's not a live working, it's just pictures of the space. I'd like to see it, but they never show it. And I know they're going to say the temple is sacred, true, and that means I shouldn't show pictures of it. Well, where's that written? I mean, if you're worried about sullying the temple, you can always reconsecrate, and I know that it's a pain to do so and it takes a little bit of time, but things can be reconsecrated. It's just that nobody wants to do that, which I get it. It's no small job. The addition of the temple cam, the 360-degree fisheye camera that I have mounted in the ceiling of my temple, has shown me that the spirits don't really care whether or not they're being filmed or whether or not I'm showing my temple. They still show up to do their thing. And for those interested in more of that, consider joining us on Patreon and Subscribestar. But quite famously, rituals and electronics don't mix very well, but it's not because they don't want to be seen or be filmed necessarily. It's more like they can't resist a tasty snack. They want to drain batteries. They want to tap into the electricity going through the electronics. Electronics in ritual is like having serving platters of food out for guests you're having over and then telling them they can't have any of it. It's more that than they don't want to be filmed. Now, I've only been filming in there for a short time, and I've already had my share of technical difficulties, so I may have to work it into the ritual itself to leave the electronics alone. But it hasn't stopped them from showing up and getting some incredible footage. The temple cam may be the best addition to the temple I've made in a while, and I wish I had done it much sooner. Now, we've been using it in the Godform tier over at Patreon and Subscribestar, and if there's any room left in the tier, we'd love to have you join us, for those of you interested. But I didn't get it just for the Godform tier. I got it for a number of reasons. First of all, for security. It does have a motion sensor. I have a lot of rare and expensive ritual items in the temple that I'd like to keep an eye on. And I also got the camera as a means of documenting my own practice, as a manner of record keeping. One of the least exciting laws of magic is keeping notes. And what's better note-taking than a record of the ritual itself to go along with what I'm writing down? And in this regard, the temple cam has been quite fantastic, especially in IR mode, which is the infrared spectrum. Anytime I've used it, I've had all kinds of orbs and spirits showing up. When I first enter the temple, there's nothing in there. The first orbs show up when I start handling my ritual tools or my sword. And then they really show up when I start doing the LBRP. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, the LBRP is not to banish spirits. It actually calls them to you. Yes, it helps push elementals out of their space, but it also lights up the astral, and like moths to a flame at night, they're going to come to see what's going on. And I've had orbs fly around everywhere. And this continues on until I end the ritual and close the temple, and then they all disappear and there's none to be seen again. At least until I leave the temple, and then I have one either jump on my butt or fly through the wall following me, or even doing a flyby of the camera itself. Almost every time within a few seconds of me exiting the temple. And so far, this has happened pretty consistently. There was one time where I had to do a God form ritual 3 times. The first time I had technical difficulties. The second time I made several mistakes and filmed in IR when I actually didn't want to. And the third time was just getting it right. Well, that second time I recorded in IR, I got quite a few orbs until the main part of the ritual after like 16 minutes or so. And then they all just kind of dispersed. Like, oh, you're doing the same thing again. We thought you were calling us for a different reason. We already know this. You already gave these instructions. We got it. So that was interesting. I've had like an orb fly into my head and then a spark shoot out of my little finger. It's all been rather interesting. And I know people are going to say, well, that's just dust flying around the temple. Well, if that were the case, you'd think a whole bunch of them would fly around while I'm waving my arms around. But I keep my temple relatively clean for the aforementioned reasons. And you think that waving my arms around would kick a ton of them up, but the majority of them show up when I'm actually standing still or struggling with my reading glasses that I'm trying to put over a balaclava, stole, and crown. And this is yet another reason why you should build up your temple space as you progress, because I can sit there and bungle with my reading glasses or make mistakes and mispronounce names, what have you, because I have a nice temple and they like coming to it. That's why I say the nicer your temple, the better your magic will be, because the more spirits you will attract. You know, back when I was playing poker on the regular with many of my friends, there was like one guy's house that I just wouldn't go to. Anytime they'd have poker there, I just won't go there because he never cleans his house, especially the bathrooms. And as bad as you can imagine it, it was worse. I did not want to be there. Well, it's the same with spirits. Most of them will still come regardless when you call them. Some may refuse, but most of them will come. But they'll come more readily if you have a place worth coming to. And now you may understand why I say that the better your ritual space, the better your ritual results. You've been practicing for years and you've built up your temple. You've invested so much time, effort, and money into it, and they know it because it shows. What does it show? It shows dedication, if I had to sum it up in a word. Dedication to the great work. When the spirits enter it, they immediately know that it's legit. They're saying, wow, your temple is legit, the same as you. They know a legit setup when they see one, because they've probably seen plenty that aren't. As a magician, bettering yourself and your circumstances is priority 1, and priority 2 is building up and bettering your temple along with it. Now, to me, this is the meaning of tithing. You know, you heard you're supposed to give 10% to God, and people just give it to their church. Well, there's really only 2 legitimate tithes, in my opinion. One is helping others, like through a charity, and the other is building up your temple, and doing so in reverence to the spirits, in reverence to the gods that you call upon. A space worthy of having them and receiving them. Does that make sense? I hope so. Now, my definition of magic has changed over the years, but if you ask me now, I would say that magic is a way to interface with the subconscious and the divine, a way of communication with it. And that being the case, wouldn't you want your temple space to be a place worthy of communing with the divine? It's worth considering. I want to thank you for joining me. Check out my website, mindandmagic.com. for the latest program release of Amulets, Talismans, and Charms. It's available now, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. I appreciate all your love and support, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
Building up the temple, building up the temple, building up the temple of the Lord.